Turkey most certainly seems as if it is upping the ante when it comes to its military involvement inside Syria. There have been convoys of military hardware going in. Turkey saying that it is going to more actively assist those rebel forces inside Idlib province to push regime troops back to what was the originally demarcated line that was meant to, in theory, create a de-escalation zone in Syria, but that never really happened. The situation there is extraordinarily dire. In fact, many of those who are living through it and even those who are observing it struggle to find adequate words to properly describe just how catastrophic the situation really is. Now, I'm joined by Mark Cutts, who is the UN's Humanitarian Coordinator for the Syrian crisis. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, how do you even begin to put into words what the civilian population there is going through right now?
Well, this is a massive humanitarian crisis. We haven't seen anything on this scale in Syria during this 9 years of this war. There's more than 1 million civilians who had to flee their homes in northwest Syria in the last year. 700,000 of them in the last 2 months alone. These are people, many of them had fled from Aleppo and Homs and other parts of Syria during this long war. They came to this area thinking they would be safe, and now they themselves are under attack. It's a shocking situation on the ground today.
And it's freezing, even right here where we're standing. I mean, how is this further compounding the risk for these people, for these families, for the children?
Well, it's freezing where we are right here. For people who are living in tents and out in the open, people sleeping on the backs of trucks and in schools without heating at the moment, it's horrific. We're already getting a lot of stories about babies and elderly people who are dying as a result of this cold weather. It's snowing today. There's ice on the ground. We hear stories of people, they're burning shoes and plastic bottles, and they're sewing up car tires to keep warm. They're inhaling these toxic fumes and dying of that. It's a really desperate situation.
And so I guess the big question then is where is all of the aid? I know we were talking earlier and you were saying that, you are sending in around 1,000, if not more, trucks a month. But then we talk to people inside who say that they're not receiving anything and that there's a severe lack of humanitarian assistance.
Well, they are right. The needs are so enormous and they far outstrip our capacity to respond. We have a massive aid operation, more than 1,000 trucks of relief supplies going in every month. But when you have a crisis of this scale, 1 million people who fled their homes in the last year, we need to scale this operation up a lot more.
And your teams on the ground are also facing challenges.
Well, it's very difficult for them to respond at the moment. We had 3 of our humanitarian workers were killed in the last 2 weeks. A humanitarian warehouse was bombed and destroyed. Hospital workers have had to flee. More than 70 hospitals and health centers and medical facilities have stopped functioning in the last 2 months because of this fighting. This is a relentless campaign of airstrikes and shelling and ground forces emptying out entire cities and towns and villages. It's just on an unimaginable scale.
Thank you so much for joining us and helping us try to better understand what's happening. And as you're hearing, this is a conflict perhaps unlike any that at the very least those in Syria have had to go through up until this stage. There is a desperate need for more support from the international community, for more money to be sent for the humanitarian effort, and for all parties who have the capability to do anything to stop the bloodshed to actually take those actions. But the sad reality has been that when it comes to Syria, everyone has failed. Countries that could have done something to try to reduce, if not end, the bloodshed have failed to do so. And those who have been responsible for the bulk of the bloodshed, the Syrian regime, backed by the Russians, backed by the Iranians, have shown absolutely no desire to do so. Right now, those who are trapped in Idlib province literally have nowhere left to run.